Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Now, this is going to be, I wouldn't say very long, but it could be very boring for a lot of you out there that actually know how to play the game. This is going to be for people that are new to the game, that they've just started and they don't know what the 2 calibers rule, the 3 calibers rule, which ammo to use at whichever one time, how armor works, how your spotting works, how you detect enemies, how you stay concealed, with concealment and equipment, camouflage, consumables, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be going through everything in this one video because if I went through everything in this one video, the video would be massive. It would be absolutely massive. So I'm going to start off with the shells, okay? Because obviously when you first come into the game, that's going to be the first thing you're going to be showed, isn't it? Really, you're going to come in and you've got your tier 1 tank. Let me just get rid of my others, make it easier. So you've got your tier 1 tank. Now, everyone starts off with tier 1s. Okay? It doesn't matter who you are, when you first start the game, you always start off with tier 1 tanks. So, you got somewhere to go. They're free, they don't require any XP. There you go. Obviously, then you go from there to lines, all that kind of stuff. Well, like I said, we're not getting into that. So when you start off with a tier 1 tank, you'll notice that it'll be like this. Let me get my mouse. It'll be like this. You'll have full AP, you'll have no premium, and you'll have no HE, no consumables, no equipment, and no camouflage. Absolutely bog standard tank, and tanks don't require any upgrades. Some of them don't require any upgrades. Some of them are just, okay, you do your research and move straight on to the next tank. Some do require one upgrade, and then you move on to where you want to go on the tech tree. Now, each shell does a different thing, okay? I hope I have something here that fires heat, but I don't think I don't, okay. Each shell does different things. Each shells will do, some will do more damage than others. Some won't pen, some will pen, some will do bounce, some will do splash damage. And understanding them, you will go a lot further in the game if you understand the shell types and what they do and what ones to use at any one time. So on the console, when you want your tank, when you want to do your shells and your equipment and all that stuff, the first thing you do is tap X. For the PlayStation, I think, I don't know actually, is it B? I think for the PlayStation, I'm not 100% sure. Someone has to tell me in the comments, but I'm doing the console. I'm doing the Xbox at the minute. So you tap X, and then you got your packages. That will do your upgrades. Okay, that will do upgrades. What you want to do is, it'll say your first upgrade will require 2 things. It will require silver, which is your currency, and it will require XP. You get XP and silver by playing the game. Different tanks will do different kind of stuff. Someone give you more XP, someone give you more silver, and that's premium tanks. I'm not going to get into that. We're not here for that. We're here for the shells. So you want to go to your tank, you want to go tap X, and then you want to go to supplies. Now, you might be looking at this thinking, okay, so what does all these numbers mean? What do all these numbers mean? Now, it's kind of self-explanatory, but we'll get into it anyway. This is gold. Okay, it costs you money to buy gold. Now, I'm going to trip over myself a hell of a lot in this game. I do apologise, but we will try. I will try my hardest. It costs you gold, costs you real money to buy gold in this game. You can get it for free by doing events and things like that, but if you're new to the game, you're not going to have anything to go in there unless you've downloaded a free starter pack and you get extra gold and some things like that. So gold costs you money, costs you real money to get, and it's the main source of currency in the game. You use gold to buy premium tanks and shells and things like that, premium consumables. People think that you have to spend gold. You have to spend gold to get premium rounds, and you have to spend gold to get your premium consumables. That is not the case. Okay, on the Xbox, if you hover over the shells and tap Y, it changes it to gold. It changes it to silver. So you then can just put as many shells on as you want, and it'll see, if you look here, it charges you silver instead of gold. You just tap Y and it changes it. Every single person should know that you have to have at least some premium rounds on your tank. Okay, it all depends on what you're doing. I mean, a tier 1, maybe tier 1, 2 and 3, they're not as big of a deal because the matchmaking is a bit more even at low tier, so it's not a massive deal. Yeah, so you don't really need that, but as you go up to the higher tiers, you're going to need to fire more because you're going to get off your off-tier games and you're going to struggle more. So it's always good to make sure you have at least a few premium rounds just in case. Now, there's 3 different shell types here. There is 4 shells altogether in the game. AP, APCR, Heat and HE. There are 4 shell types, and I'll get to all them later on, but for now, because we've got these 3 here, we'll talk about these 3. The main shell that most tanks fire in the game is armor piercing, or AP shells. AP shells are they're your standard shell types. Okay, they're your standard shells. Like I said, 90% tanks in the game will fire AP at standard. They do okay pen, okay damage. You know, they're in the middle. They're a good shell. They're a good shell. You can get away with just firing AP most of the time. But as you see here, this says damage 23 to 38 and pen 29 to 49. And what does that mean? What that means is when the shell leaves the gun, okay, the random number generator will pick a number between 23 and 38 for your damage, and then 29 and 49 for your pen. Simple. That's why they say this game is all RNG, because it is all RNG. So when the shell leaves, let's say it leaves with, okay, let's go maximum. It comes out with a maximum pen of 49, and it's going to do 25 damage. You know, because you rarely ever see it go higher than 38. Sometimes it can go higher. It can high roll, and sometimes it can low roll, but yeah. So it comes out with 49, comes out with a maximum pen, and it comes out with 25 damage. What that means is, if the tank that you're going to shoot has more than 49 mils of armor, which most things at low tiers will, because as you can see here, the maximum this has is 15, and that's on the gun mantle hit. But if what you're shooting at has more than 49 mils of armor, you will not go through no matter what the angle. Okay, it will auto ricochet. It doesn't matter where you shoot it. It could be a weak spot. It might not be a weak spot. The reticle might go red to say that the shell's going to pen. It's a lie. Okay, it's a lie. That's why with this game it pays to know what you're shooting and know how to shoot them and what rounds to shoot them, what the armor's going to be, is it going to bounce, do you have a high chance of going through, and that's just the thing, right? That is why a lot of people on this game fire Heat or APCR. They fire premium because they know they're going to go through, because they're paying the money to go through, even though you can use silver. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So if you're shooting at a target that does not have 50 mils or more, you're not going to go through. Okay, if it has less armor, you're going to go through. Okay, I hope you're all with me at the minute. I'm trying my hardest to explain this. It's really hard to explain. I can't really do this without going onto another website, can I? Let's have a look. And I know what we'll do here. Perfect example. What we'll do here. Good old Tanks GG, you know. Good old Tanks GG. Let me put that down there. Right. So we will use the Panzerkreuzwagen 4, okay, as an example here, because this has pretty much everything you need to know about the armor, about shells going through. Now, if you're fighting against yourself, okay, so you're using one of these tanks and you're fighting another tank here. If you're shooting it from the front, the shells here have 64 pen and 350 damage, so they can go up to 64 mils of armor. So if you're fighting yourself and you're going head on the front, look at how much armor there is on the front. 80 mils. So if you shoot this whole top plate, okay, you're not going to go through. You're not going to go through no matter what. It won't go through. Look, see, 64 mils of pen, and this is 80 mils of armor. Ignore that. This is 80 mils of armor, so you are not going to go through. If you shoot things like this, the weak spots, which I just had a minute ago, there's a weak spot. There you go. If you shoot the weak, oh shoot! If you shoot the weak spots, you can see there. It's got 24 mils of armor. Okay, so from head on, you're going to go through. Everyone with me so far with an AP shell? That's how AP shells work. Okay, like I said, I'll go into as much detail as I can. If he's angled like this, it's a whole nother ball game. Look how much that armor has gone up. It's gone from 80, it's gone to 90, and then depending on the armor, 110, 112. You see what I mean? How you know, you're not going through that if you wanted to. You're just not going to go through it if you wanted to. Obviously, the weak spots are still weak spots, pretty much. That's nothing. And it's the same if he's shooting down at you. You know, if he's shooting down at you, that you're just not going to go through. Not going to go through. You got no chances. No chance at all to go through. That's why you got to know weak spots on tanks. You know, weak spots on tanks. Now, let's change the shell type to heat. This is heat. These are heat shells, okay? Heat shells work they're like AP shells, but they are a lot better than AP shells. They don't lose any penetration over distance. AP shells lose, I think it's like 20. I think 20% of the pen over 100 meters. AP shells lose. So I'll just double check this. Look, so from the front, there's this weak spot. What distance are we at? It doesn't. I thought it was meant to tell you distance. It doesn't tell you. So from the front here, from this close, you'll go through. The further away you get, this. If Tanks GG is meant to be good at this. The further away you get, the AP shell. Oh boy, the AP shells will bounce. Okay, because they've got more travel to go, and they lose pen over time. There's no way he's going to go through. Okay, there's just no way he's going to go through. Heat shells, on the other hand, they will go through, because heat shells do not lose pen over distance. That's the impact that they have. They will not lose penetration over distance. As you can see here, it's got a 93% chance of going through, which that's why you see people firing heat shells a lot. I won't mention any people's names because, you know, but a lot of people fire heat a lot because they've got nearly 100% chance of going through. Look at that, the whole front of this tank can shoot itself with a heat round, and it's going to go through. Absolutely going to go through, no problems at all. And then you've got these little boys. These are HE shells. Now, HE shells are different to heat, and they're different to AP. HE shells, they have the lowest chance of pen, so they've got the lowest chance that you're going to penetrate a target, but they've got the highest damage. They lose about the same as AP shells over distance. Oh no, sorry, no. HE shells don't lose pen over distance, because they don't. The second a HE shell hits a target, it's going to cause damage immediately. It doesn't pen it won't pen the armor. It will hit the armor and explode, because it's a high explosive anti-tank shell, HE. It will explode. So if you're shooting a very, very, very weak armored tank, you're going to do a lot of damage. So I can tell you about that right now. If I just go to one that everybody knows and loves this tank, we go to. Now, okay, we'll leave it like this for now. I'll put it live actually. There you go. Right. So as you can see, this is the the FV405 Stage 2. This is the mini Death Star, as we call it. Its armor is 20 mils. This whole turret is 20 mils. Okay, so it is the weakest armor in the game. If you're firing HE at it, the HE pen on these tanks are 92 millimeters. Okay, 92 millimeters. Damage is 1,700, because, yeah, why not? If you shoot anywhere on the turret of a weak armored tank, you're going to go through 100% of the time. No ricochet, no bounce, it'll go through and it'll cause a lot of damage. a lot of damage. We'll go back to Germany again. We'll go back for the Panzer. Now, one more thing I will add about HE and heat rounds. You see on the side of this, you have this spaced armour here. See, there's a gap here, gap there, gap there. All the way around the turret there's a gap. I'm only using this tank because it's low tier and a lot of people understand it better at low tiers. You know, there's higher tiers I can use, but I don't confuse people. Now, the side of this armour, the side of this is, how thick is it? Okay, we'll go side on. 35 mils. So this shield on the side is 35 mils thick. Okay, so as you can see, these shells, these AP shells, have a penetration value of 64. So if you're shooting one of these in the side, it has to go through. It has to go through. What did I say? 34. Space plate, 30 mils. Okay, yeah. So it has to go through 30 mils first before it hits the main armor of the tank. Okay? So if you take 30 from 64, my maths is terrible, I'm sure you can all do it. But whatever number you get from taking 30 from 64, that's the number you have to go through the main part of the tank. I told you I was going to be tripping over myself. Like, maths was never my strong point. So what's 30 from 64? So wait. Oof. 34. There you go. I'll get there in the end. So it has to go through 30 mils here, and then it has to go through. It's got 34 mils then to go through the armor, and as you can see, the armor is 45. So you will not go through. It will not go through. It'll bounce. It won't go through. Heat rounds are exactly the same. If you shoot a heat round at this thing, it won't go through, because even though heat rounds don't lose penetration over distance, even though heat does not lose penetration over distance, when you fire, the heat round hits spaced armor and it automatically sets off a fire. Like, you know, it burns, the heat round, it burns. It burns through the armor. As the shell goes through the armor, it's still losing its penetration value. It drops significantly, and I mean significantly. So you can shoot this, it'll lose nearly half, just over half of its pen straight away, and it will not go through the main part of the tank because it's lost all its penetration power going through the heat shield, which is what these basically are. I mean, even though in the Second World War this tank was actually had all this put on because of rocket launchers and things like that, but it works the same way. Now, if you fire an AP shell, now can you see here where the heat shield, the tracks, and then you got the body of the tank itself. If you shoot it here, it has to go through the heat shield, then it has to go through the tank tracks armor, and then it has to go through the main part of the tank. Okay, are you with me so far? So if you shoot heat like at this, it doesn't matter, it's not going to go through. Even the biggest guns in the game is not going to go through. So for example, if we go to something everybody can understand, it's been in the game for a long time, it's Mr. Mouse. It's Mr. Mouse. Go hybrid. Right. Okay, you can just see, what is a way I can, that's visual, no. Okay, you can see here, this is the tracks. It's a bit weirdly shaped how they do it, isn't it really, but this is the tracks. This line here. This is the side. Let me go back to visual. So you got to imagine your tracks are here. This whole section here underneath my cursor is tracks, okay? And then you've got this massive side plate, and then you've got the tracks, and then you've got the inner part. I can't remove the tracks. I would love to be able to remove the tracks. I really would. Can I? If I click it, that gonna? Okay, it doesn't. So you have to imagine, if you're shooting a heat round, if you pen anywhere near here, where it's blue, you're not going to go through. Because you've got to go through the shield, the tracks, and then the armour of the tank itself. If you go high and shoot here, you've only got to go through the heat shield, and the actually main body of the tank. Because the mouse, I really wish I could show you. I might have to go back on the game to show you. All this down here, there's no tracks here at all. Okay, no tracks here at all. It's just spaced. It's just spaced armor. Wrong one. It's just spaced armor. So you will go through. Look, you will go through there and go straight into the main part of the tank. Okay, that's how heat shells work. HE is exactly the same as heat. If you shoot a HE round at spaced armor, yeah, nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna splash the outside of the tank, and you're gonna look like a fool. You're gonna look an absolute fool. You may do, depending on the caliber of the gun, you may do 20 damage, 200 damage. All depends on the caliber of the gun. But if you shoot a HE round underneath the tank, so like the floor, it will hit the floor, explode, and go up into it. Again, it depends on the caliber of the HE shell, it depends on the caliber of the armor and all that kind of stuff. But you can get a lot more splash damage by shooting the floor rather than shooting, like, you know, all this kind of stuff here on the armor. Because as you can see, it's all red. You ain't going to do absolutely anything. All you're going to do is take his tracks off. That's literally all you're going to do. But if we changed his opponent to Type 5 Heavy, everyone loves Type 5 Heavy, with the massive derp gun, the 15cm. Go back to the visual. Now, can you see here? The Type 5 Heavy, 75 mils of pen. It's going to go through, and it's got a pen. If you shoot the bottom part of a mouse right underneath, the splash goes up, and it will pen. Okay? Now, there is something called the 2 caliber rule and 3 caliber rule. What that means is, if the caliber size of the gun, or if the caliber size of the shell is 2 times the thickness of the armor, it will go through no matter what angle. Okay, that is why this is blue. Can you see it? This is blue. This has how much? Okay, we don't want on live, do we? Because right, this is 19 mils of armor. Okay, 19 mil. This whole top plate here is 19 mils of armor. If you are using a Type 5 Heavy, you can shoot down because it is taller than the mouse, not by a lot, but it is taller. Just shoot it here, anywhere on the top plate here. Don't shoot these shields. Oh, excuse me. Don't shoot the shields. Shoot it here. No matter what the angle, it's going to go through. You're going to do a lot of damage. Okay, that is what the 2 caliber rule is. Heat shells do not go by the 2 caliber rule. So that's why heat shells do not work against spaced armor, because they don't go through. It's not. They don't have the 2 caliber rule, the 3 caliber rule. That's not how it works. But all shell types in the game normalize, except for HE shells. Okay? Normalize, what that means is, if you're shooting angled armor, as the shell hits the armor, it will shift by like 5 degrees or something. It will shift a little bit to try and go in, because of the point on the shell, because the point that the shell has. It will shift a little bit and it will try and go in. HE shells, because they explode, they won't shift. They'll just hit the target and explode. Heat rounds, they will shift, but not by as much as AP or APCR. They shift a lot more. Okay, is everyone with me so far? I hope you are, because this is a big one. So let me show you one thing now, right? I'm going to go for a standard tank that people usually go for when they've started the game. You can buy that. It's cheap as chips to buy, and it is the Super Pershing. It is a real tank. These did exist. It's just the Pershing that the Americans put more armor off from a Panther on the front. So this is basically Panther armor on the front of the tank. Now, there's one thing you can see is there's a lot of spaced armor on this thing, isn't there? There's a lot of spaced armor. If I said to you, if I shoot this thing here with one of the biggest guns in the game, when I find it, tier 10, TD, where are we? Where is she? No. There we go. The Jagdpanzer 100. We change the round types to heat. Okay. Look what happens. If I shoot heat from a Jagdpanzer which has got 420 mils of pen. Are you ready for this? Won't go through. Won't go through. And do you know why it won't go through? Even though it's got all that pen? Because it's a heat round. They lose so much penetration shooting through spaced armour. Obviously the side and the back is a different story. We're not looking at that. It will not go through. It's because it's heat and it loses so much of its pen when it hits armour that, yeah, it just won't go through. So the Super Pershing is one of those tanks that I always say to people, if you're just starting off and you've got some money that you don't mind spending, the Super Pershing is a good one to go for. It really is a good one to go for. Right, let's go back on. Nope. Please load. Why is it not connected now? Oh, look at this. Because I want it to work, it's just not going to work now, is it? Typical. Do you wanna connect? There we go. There we go. Right. Okay. So that is basically how shells work in the game. My controller's turned off. So that is basically how shells work in the game. So I hope that helps you with shell types. So it helps to know what you're shooting at, what shells to use for different times, and all that kind of stuff. Different tanks will have different premium rounds. Okay, so obviously with the T1, you can see its premium rounds are APCR, armor piercing competent rigid shells. Okay, as you can see, it has more pen. They have more pen than the AP shells, so there's a high chance of going through. They don't do any more damage. They do the same amount of damage. Okay, that's why if you're shooting at a pesky little light tank, so you're playing the game and you've got a Sheridan, you're shooting at a Sheridan. Obviously the Sheridan's a quick tank. Don't use AP shells if you're trying to snipe at a distance. Use APCR, because the shell velocity on the APCR are better than the AP shells. And what do I mean by shell velocity? There you go. AP shells, the shell velocity is 600. Is that meters per second? I think that's meters per second. I could be wrong, but it's 600 meters per second, the shell velocity on the AP rounds on the T1. Now, if I add a premium round to that, get off that a minute, because I have to do that for it to work, and then I go to there, if you can see, 750 meters per second. The APCR are better at sniping quicker tanks, okay? Because you've got to give it less lead and you've got more chance of it going through. But let's say you're playing a tank like, okay, you're playing against a King Tiger. Now I know this is Capture King Tiger. I don't actually have a King Tiger that's fully upgraded. Or even a Tiger, there you go. Okay, we'll use a Tiger actually, there you go. Everyone knows about a Tiger. You all know about a Tiger, it's historic, everyone knows about a Tiger. If you're shooting at him from a distance, and you are a tier down or 2 tiers down, don't use AP, use APCR if you've got it, but if you have heat, always fire heat, because it doesn't lose pen over distance, okay? Which means you're going to shoot it. It's thick armour, as long as you do not shoot it in the tracks. Anywhere else, you're going to go through and do maximum damage. So if you are shooting a fast target, APCR. If you're shooting a target that's far away, and it's a heavily armoured target, you want to fire HE. Not HE, heat. You fire heat at that, over distance, not going to lose pen, and you're going to get damage. If you're shooting through a wall, or a building, or anything like that, do not fire heat and do not fire HE. They will not do anything. you want to fire AP and APCR, because they will go through the building. Again, it kind of acts like spaced armor. Once you go through the building, if it's then got enough pen to go through the tank itself, then it will. If not, then you're going to hear ricochet, it's going to bounce off. But you've gotten rid of the building. If you know you're not going to go through the target, but you want to destroy the building, you fire HE at the building. Fire HE at the building, and the building will be destroyed. Okay? Depending on how your reload is. If it's quick reload, you can do it, and yeah, I mean, some people probably won't. They'll just keep firing AP until the building's gone. But one HE shell at the centre of the building, it'll destroy the building. Everyone else can shoot the target. Easy damage, easy spotting. Okay, does that all make sense? Some tanks have a different premium shell. Okay, now I know there's multiple tanks in the game that do have it, but for the video, I'm just got to find two that have them, that I know that have them all the time. And it's the Death Star. Now, there is, like I said, there is other tanks in the game that do have them, but yeah, we're not going to go down that line. The Death Star fires what's called HESH. Okay, only the British tanks fire HESH. It's sort of their speciality. Okay, HESH do more damage than HE shells, even though it is the same shell. They do more damage and they've got more pen. Okay, so they do more damage and they've got more pen. But like I said, only the British ones fire HESH. Can I compare that with? There's my Super Conqueror, right? So here we go. HESH. Obviously it's tier 10, ignore the fact that it's tier 10, okay, there is lower tiers of British tanks that do fire HESH, but I'd be there all day trying to find them, so this way is just easier. HESH shells, as you can, oh my curse map, okay. HESH shells, as you can see, they do a lot more pen and a lot more damage, but they're only available on the British tanks. Again, I will clarify that again. They do more damage, and they've got more pen. HESH shells are really, really, really good shells to have. Always have some HESH shells on your top tier British heavies. You just have to. You just have to. They are really good at getting rid of those pesky little tanks that just like to sit there. I don't think the Badger fires HESH. Oh, it does. There you go. Yeah, even the Badgers fire HESH. So it is mostly the British tanks that fire HESH. They are really good tanks to fight weakly armoured tanks with. And like I said before, if you're new to the game and you're looking to buy a decent premium tank that won't cost you a lot of money, you can't go wrong with the Super Pershing. It's okay in tier 9 matchups if you know how to use it, but I'm not going to get into it. I hope this helps. I'm not the best at explaining things. I tried to explain it the best I can, but there's more stuff coming out. The next one's going to be armor. Okay, next one's going to be armor. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helps a little bit. If I haven't explained it properly, I apologise. I did try. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Where's my mouse cursor? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.